Welcome to Fun and Games Side Quests. Every episode is a different host sharing a video game they love and why they love it.
So flashback to 2010. The original Bayonetta was released on Xbox 360 with a so-so port to PS3 alongside it. It was received relatively well, getting 8s, 9s and 10s across the board, and being heralded as the true successor to the original Devil May Cry. Because, DMC2 was kinda terrible and the video game sphere wasn't aware of the DMC Devil May Cry shaped kaiju that was set to rise from the ocean floor and make us all feel a little bit unwell. With that being said, you'd think a sequel would be a no-brainer. Well, after Sega pulled out of publishing the title, with Platinum having been working on it in the 2 intervening years, and since companies such as Microsoft turned it down when it was offered to them, hope seemed pretty much lost. However, in September 2012, Platinum announced the Bayonetta project's saving grace, and it was the publishers of Mario and Donkey Kong Minis on the Move. Yeah, Nintendo decided to scoop up Bayonetta 2 and make it a Wii U exclusive. At first glance, an odd choice for handling the series, but I don't know, Bayonetta is obviously a very adult game for reasons we'll get into, but in my opinion the characters and tone fit with Nintendo's wacky aside series. The humour in Bayonetta 2 is very much akin to some of the gags in something like Mario and Luigi, both very tongue-in-cheek and self-parodic, and I think it works very well in both cases. It's kinda weird seeing her in Smash Brothers, but we already had a lot of sex appeal in Wario, so I've learnt to live with it. A lot of people were mad at this, saying that the exclusivity was anti-consumer and betraying the fans of the original. Hideki Kamiya, writer and co-creator of the series, took to Twitter to make the counterpoint that without Nintendo there probably wouldn't have been a Bayonetta 2 in his usual sarcastic way. I have been blocked by him for the record. It is one of my greatest achievements. I have very strong memories of watching E3 trailers on my little Nintendo 3DS, getting freaked out by a teaser for what I suppose became Xenoblade Chronicles X, and ogling at just how shiny the coins in Mario Kart 8 were, but the trailer that enraptured me like no other was the one for Bayonetta 2. I didn't have a Wii U at the time, obviously, so I waited many years to finally be able to play it, soaking up every little detail about the title until it finally got re-released on a Nintendo Switch in 2018. And since I'm nothing if not competitive in how big of a loser I am, I bought the console on day one, and when the duology eventually hit the shelves, I picked it up and never really put it down again. Bayonetta 2 is my favourite game of all time, an opinion that oddly enough I don't see many people sharing, but to me at least it captures perfectly everything I would want from a video game tenfold. Despite being more of a movie guy, I've never loved overly story-heavy games, but Bayonetta 2 strikes a really good mixture with a reasonably simple plot with lots of heavy lore if you go looking for it. It has a lot more emotion than the original, and the relationship between Cereza and Jean is one that you grow to appreciate and love over the course of the runtime. The main gameplay is probably my absolute favourite of any video game. Having not played too much of Devil May Cry, here the combat is so fast and frenetic that it takes a lot of skill to master properly, with a bunch of room for improvisation in terms of weapons you bring into the chapter and the skills you have equipped. This was all there in the first game, but in Bayonetta 2 it feels much more balanced. You can play a level and have fun regardless of your skill, because any handicaps you might prefer to have are available to you in the menu, and unlike the original you never feel frowned upon for using lollipops or secret items. It doesn't feel so much like the game is taunting you if you're still trying to get the hang of it. But once you do, the campaign is infinitely replayable, with a cavalcade of bonus missions and overpowered unlocks to work your way towards upon repeat playthroughs. There are lots of little additions that only serve to polish the mechanics, like giving Bayo an eel transformation similar to the panther one from the first game, allowing her to swim in the dirty soapy water with more ease. That in turn gives way to more opportunities for exploration, and what really lets the game shine is the style. The colours are so much brighter and more fun than in Bayonetta 1, and several shots both in-game and in cutscenes are gorgeous to look at. Maybe it's the fact that I grew up watching Joel Schumacher's Batman films, but the best way to sell me on a game's personality is to make it camper than a femboy hiking enthusiast, and in that regard Bayo really delivers. It's a game that pushes the hardware to the limit, and that style as established is hiding so much detail in every corner of every map. The violence is over the top and hilarious, something that's pretty much a necessity in character action games, but violence of this ilk is done properly only a handful of times. Metal Gear Rising and No More Heroes are two great examples. I originally wrote that it contrasts how gorgeous everything else on display here is, but honestly the gore is just as, if not more, impressive. Bayonetta's design has always been a pretty controversial subject, as well as the tone and aesthetic of the games in general. Most people would complain that her outfit and the way that she acts in cutscenes is sexist, and that the series was appealing to the male fantasy. My opinion? I mean, some of the shots are pretty unjustifiable, and I'm not really one to judge since I don't find Cereza particularly attractive, but I think that the sexualization of the characters in the games, specifically Bayonetta and Jean, is less about being gratuitous or in bad taste and more about how they use their sexuality as a strength and to define them as people. There's never really a point where Bayonetta's sexuality is made light of to her detriment. In almost every scenario where she's being all naked, she's still 100% in control and kicking ass. Me personally, I just think her design is really cool. The blue is a massive step up from her costume in the first game, and complements the new lighting. In Bayo 1, she looked kinda wacky. I don't know, take a silhouette and this hairstyle could easily be a funky vibrator or a salami sub or a vape pen. In the sequel, she's been streamlined to be just as recognizable, but with changes to make her look less quaint. The original is still neat, but it wasn't serviced by how the rest of the game looked. And come on, even a new haircut is a
beautiful new blue
design, and it's really cool. So overall, yeah, I love this game. To a frankly unreasonable extent, really. It does everything that I could ever want from a video game and excels at everything it sets out to do. I think it's going to go down as a modern classic, even if it isn't considered such already. Oh, and Matt suggested that I talk a little bit about who I am and what I do, so, hi. I hope you enjoyed my ramble about Bayonetta 2. My name is George. I'm a filmmaker. On my channel, I upload shorts and shit posts and stuff like that. I'm working on an essay-style video right now. It's kind of similar to this, so stay tuned for that. My channel is TheLostEpisode, so I guess subscribe. I hope that maybe I've been able to give you some insight into why this game rocks, and that maybe you might consider checking it out. With that being said, I guess there's not much else to say other than happy gaming. See ya.
Hey,
Oh, hey, Jeff.
what's going on, guys?
Oh, talking about Superman.
Oh, cool. I could talk about Superman.
I could talk some more about Superman.
We know.
I'll bet a few people would want to get in on this.
I'm down.
You know it.
That sounds like fun. I'll do it.
Cool, let's do it. We can call the show Men of Steel.
And you can find it at certainpov.com.
Or wherever you get your podcasts.
Yay.
CertainPOV.com.